All right, folks, mark down this moment because what you're about to hear is not just another headline. It is history in the making. President Donald J. Trump, he's just done what no politician before him ever dared to do. He has locked in Social Security forever. A promise generations of Americans were told could never be kept. And at the very same time, he's tearing down the rotten empire of the Federal Reserve and the Soros family that bankrolls it. Now, think about that, guys. For decades, you've been warned that Social Security would run out by 2034, that your retirement, your benefits, your very livelihood would be slashed. But today, President Donald J. Trump's commissioner has declared it safe forever. And while the American people are finally breathing a sigh of relief, the elites are panicking because Trump, he's not just saving their benefits, he's dismantling the unaccountable Federal Reserve and he's putting the Soros machine on notice. So here's where it gets explosive though, guys. Forget everything that you heard, guys. Soros and his son Alex. Trump says they should be hit with the RICO charges for fueling violent protests and unleashing chaos across our cities. Let me know if you agree with that. Drop a quick Soros in jail or Soros RICO in the comments down below if you support Trump's suggestion here. And guess what evidence is piling up that these folks who have been funding the very DAs who refuse to prosecute crime while the cartels creep deeper and deeper into American neighborhoods. So the real question tonight is George Soros a patriot funding reform, or is he a traitor that's funding America's destruction? That's the choice you have to make tonight, guys. I'm going to lay out the facts for you. If you appreciate the news updates, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate the support. Thank you so much for helping to get the truth out, because in just a moment, we're going to expose how President Trump's firing of a corrupt Federal Reserve governor could give him the power to flip the Fed for the first time in U.S. history, and why the Democrats are terrified of what comes next. And of course, I want to show you guys how this particular battle, it doesn't even just affect Washington. It directly impacts the dollars in your wallet, in your bank account, in your investment accounts. Yes, the savings in your account, and whether your retirement is safe from collapse. So this is clearly 100 times bigger than politics. Ladies and gentlemen, let's call it the moment that it is. This is history in motion. For decades, the American people, we've been lied to, we've been manipulated, we've been threatened with the same old story. Social Security is running out. You're not going to be able to get your full Social Security benefits. I mean, I'm not getting Social Security for a long time. And even people who are getting it now are, they don't even know if it's going to last, right? Well, while most politicians either ignore the problem or use it to try to scare seniors into compliance and to vote for them, Donald J. Trump has just flipped the script. He's now securing your benefits for all time while dismantling the very machine that the Federal Reserve that worked hand in hand with the Soros family, essentially to keep you enslaved for fear. Now, if you support President Trump saving Social Security, drop a 47 in the comments down below right now. Guys, this is the battle that we are watching right now, and it's unfolding. President Trump versus Soros. Now, on the one side, you got a president fighting to protect the retirement that you've earned. On the other hand, you got billionaire elites funding chaos, destabilization, and of course, the very policies that threaten your financial survival. And so this isn't just politics. This is clearly the fight for America's economic soul. But let's not forget why this battle even matters, because that's even more important than any of this, because the numbers are chilling. According to the actuaries themselves, the Social Security Trust Fund is set to be depleted by 2034. So this means retirees would only receive 83% of your benefits. Drop a quick no in the comments down below if you would not be okay with only getting 83% of your benefits, guys. I mean, imagine working your whole life being forced, because how many of you voluntarily paid into the Social Security system, right? I mean, did anyone get a choice? I think we were all forced to pay into this thing, right? Let me know, guys. Imagine working your whole life paying into a system, and then you're being told at the end of paying hundreds, if not thousands of payments to the Social Security system, to the SSA, then nearly a fifth of what you were promised has vanished. Would anybody else other than me be pissed? I don't want to be the only one that's pissed off here, right? And so the fear is real. AARP surveyed Americans recently, and nearly half said that they're considering claiming their Social Security early just to grab whatever they can before it runs dry. Drop a quick yes in the comments down below if you know someone who's planning to claim their Social Security benefits early. Let me know, guys. So the panic doesn't come from nowhere. This comes from decades of corruption, from mismanagement, and from manipulation. And every time, without fail, every time the economy shakes, every time the Soros-funded protests explode in our cities. I mean, we saw what was happening in Gavin Newsom's California, right? In Karen Bass's Los Angeles, these protests were going crazy. crazy. And every time the Soros-funded protests explode in our cities, people lose even more faith that their retirement will be there when they need it. So here's a turning point, okay? President Trump, he's saying no more. He's planting the flag. He's declaring Social Security will be protected and preserved forever. A promise that no president has made so far directly. One of his commissioners actually put this in writing. But how can he make such a bold claim? This is what a lot of people are wondering. Like, what is Trump doing behind the scenes to shore up this program while simultaneously dismantling the Fed and putting the Soros machine on notice? Well, stick with me, guys, because I'm going to show you exactly how President Trump has just fortified Social Security against fraud, abuse, and collapse, and why Soros' family is panicking over his moves. Now, did you know your Medicare plan might be hiding costs you don't even see? Yeah, that's right, guys. Copays that quietly rise, prescriptions suddenly uncovered, specialists no longer available. By the time you notice, you've already paid. This is why I partnered with Chapter, folks. They review every plan detail for my community for free. They're looking for things that most people don't even know to look out for, and they're experts. So they're going to catch everything for free. So that way you're not blindsided. Now, one of our viewers left me a comment. I love it. She said, I thought my plan was fine. I didn't realize I was paying for benefits I didn't even use until Chapter showed me. Unbelievable, right? So let me ask, like, what hidden costs are you carrying right now without even realizing it? Overpaying for stuff that you're not even using when you could be saving money, right? I mean, most people aren't waiting to find out the hard way. That is why most people are calling the number at the bottom of your screen right now, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. Phone number is 909-563-8279. So now here's where the story completely flips, guys, because Trump, he's not just making promises. He's actually delivering results. His Social Security Commissioner, Frank Bisignano, he laid it out pretty plainly. He said, under President Trump, Social Security is locked forever. Forever doesn't sound like a maybe. That sounds pretty definitive, right? Not a small patch job, not a delay. This is a full guarantee. But how? How is he pulling this off? By transforming the entire Social Security administration into what he's calling a digital-first agency. So that means instead of endless wait times and broken down offices, Americans now have faster service, quicker payments, and a system that can't be so easily abused. The Fairness Act payments delivered 5 months earlier than expected. That is the difference between Washington talk and Trump action. And it doesn't stop there either. I mean, within just a few weeks, President Trump's team uncovered $18 billion in errors in the system. Half of that, $9 billion, was corrected almost immediately. They even flagged 75,000 Social Security numbers being misused, many who were linked to people who should never have even had access in the first place. That is your money being stolen, ladies and gentlemen. And Trump's team is plugging the holes before it's gone. So when Trump says forever, it's not just words. It's actually backed by action, by oversight, and a refusal to let fraudsters and bureaucrats drain the lifeline of 72 million Americans. How many of you guys thought that politicians were stealing from the Social Security pot for years? But if Trump is fortifying Social Security, then who's trying to tear it down? Well, look no further than the Soros family. Because while Trump is defending your benefits, George Soros and his son Alex are accused of funding chaos in America's streets. Fox News reported paid protesters' requests are up 400% since Trump ordered the federal takeover of DC's police. I wonder who's paying for all that. And so the New York Post uncovered that Soros has funded $20 million into protest groups, fueling demonstrations that were meant to destabilize this country. And Trump is not mincing words, folks. On Truth Social, he warned both George and Alex Soros directly. We're watching you. Be careful. He even called for RICO charges, the same laws used to take down the mafia and Diddy, because in his words, these people aren't just activists. They're organized operators ripping this nation apart. Here's a real situation here, guys. Are Soros and his network really pushing reform, or are they deliberately tearing America apart, funding crime, chaos, and protests to keep you in fear while they consolidate power? Well, stick with me, guys, because I want to go even deeper into how George Soros funded district attorneys and unleashing crime waves across America, and how these cartels are moving into our cities because of it. And more importantly, President Trump's direct showdown with the Federal Reserve itself. So this, ladies and gentlemen, this is where the Soros story goes from bad to downright dangerous, because it's not just protests. It's not just chaos in the streets. I mean, George Soros has been playing a long game. He's buying America's justice system from the inside out. How do you buy the justice system? Well, when you're a billionaire, there's a lot of stuff that's normally not for sale, but all of a sudden you have access to it. So right now, 70% of the country's district attorneys are tied to Soros funding. What names come to mind? Letitia James, maybe DA Alvin Bragg, maybe Jack Smith, perhaps Judge Juan Merchan. Those names come to mind, but let's sink this in, okay? 7 out of 10 from Austin to San Antonio, from Dallas to Los Angeles, from New York to Chicago. These Soros-backed prosecutors aren't enforcing the law. They're dismantling it. Criminals walk free, violent offenders are released without bail, and into the vacuum steps something even more sinister: the cartels. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the cartels are now moving into American cities. They're exploiting the very chaos that Soros bankrolls. ICE agents are sounding the alarm that the border problem has officially become a neighborhood problem. So ask yourself, guys, is this just reform, or is it deliberate destabilization? Is George Soros a philanthropist, or is he bankrolling America's collapse from within? And while Soros pushes crime and chaos on Main Street, President Trump is taking a wrecking ball to the very heart of elite power, the Federal Reserve. This week, Trump, he did the unthinkable. He fired Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. Why? Well, because the FHFA referred her to the Department of Justice for suspected mortgage fraud. That's right, guys. One of the nation's top financial regulators at the Fed accused of corruption. Can you believe that? Yeah. So instead of resigning in shame, Lisa Cook has lawyered up, hiring none other than Hunter Biden's attorney. Do they all just read the same playbook? Then flat out refusing to leave. She was suggested that she should take some leave of absence, but she's claiming the president of the United States doesn't even have the authority to fire her. Really? Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is calling her out. White House advisor Kevin Hassett, he says she should step aside immediately. And yet Lisa Cook digs in. She's blocking the business of the Fed while the legal battle continues to drag on. So let's be very clear here, guys. Trump's not just targeting one corrupt official. This is about exposing the entire Federal Reserve for what it is: an unaccountable, quasi-private central bank that answers to nobody. How many of you guys knew that the Federal Reserve is not even a real bank? And if Cook is out, Trump gets to fill her seat. Now, add that to the vacant seat already on the board, and all of a sudden Trump could seize a 4-3 majority control over the Fed. 4-3 over the Fed, guys. Think about that. Think about the stakes here. Control of America's money supply, interest rates, financial future shifted from the globalist elites back into the hands of the America First agenda. But of course, Democrats are already losing their minds. Hair is on fire, screaming that Trump is destroying Fed independence. Elizabeth Warren, she's crying foul, calling it a political hit job, even though she herself designed mortgage oversight agencies after 2008. So it's like this hit job was influenced and built by her. So the hypocrisy is off the charts. So here's the real cliffhanger though, right? Is Trump dismantling elite control of your money, or is he, as the left claims, tearing down an institution that was never meant to be touched? Well, I want to break down this constitutional clash over the Fed, how this could redefine presidential power, and more importantly, why the markets are already panicking into gold and silver. Comment down below if you think that gold or silver is a safe haven to put your money. I want to hear from you guys. So here's where this fight explodes into something much bigger than one corrupt bureaucrat. Trump firing Lisa Cook wasn't just about fraud. It was about testing the very limits of presidential power. Like, can a president remove a Federal Reserve governor? The elites are saying no. Trump says yes. And the reason that he's pushing so hard is very simple. If Cook is out and Trump fills both her seat and the already vacant seat, he gains a 4-3 majority on the Fed board. Now, think about that, okay? For over a century, the Federal Reserve has operated as this untouchable, unaccountable institution. Presidents feared it, Congress bowed down to it and worshiped it, and the American people, well, we've been paying the price while they played with our money. But now, Trump is on the verge of flipping the board. Operational control, budget control, research control, even influence over the regional Fed presidents who vote on interest rates. Think about this, folks. If President Trump succeeds, it means that for the first time in modern history, history, the Federal Reserve, the same Fed that helped fuel inflation, destroy savings, and manipulate markets, would be under direct America First control. This is why the establishment is absolutely terrified. And you can almost see the fear in their reaction. House Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries, Senate Democrats, and their media allies, they're all parroting the exact same talking points. All of a sudden, every headline says the same thing. Trump's attack on the Fed threatens your retirement, your mortgage, your economy. Word for word, guys. It's almost like they're reading off of a script that's handed down from the DNC or maybe from George Soros himself, for all we know. And then, of course, there's Elizabeth Warren. Senator Elizabeth Warren. Remember, she was the one who helped create the FHFA after the 2008 crash, specifically to catch mortgage fraud. Now that Trump's team has uncovered it against one of her own allies, she calls it a political hit job. Hypocrisy doesn't even begin to cover it, guys. So here's the real choice that Americans are staring down right now. Is Trump dismantling elite corruption that has been bleeding this country dry? Or is Trump, as the Democrats claim, endangering the very foundation of the financial system? Well, I want to go ahead and I want to dig into why the markets are already reacting, why gold and silver are surging, and how Trump's critical mineral strategy could permanently reduce our dependence on China. Now, folks, real quick, if you had to choose, you have to put your cash in one of these two piles. Do you put your cash in Bitcoin and or Ethereum, or do you put your cash in gold or silver? Which one do you trust more than the other? Let me know, guys. Now, folks, the markets are already telling the story. The second Trump moved against Lisa Cook, uncertainty ripped through Wall Street. Investors, they don't trust the Fed anymore. They see the chaos. They see the corruption. And what do they do when they panic? They run to gold and silver. And guess what, guys? That plays right into Trump's hands. Back in March, let's not forget, he signed a very critical minerals emergency order, unleashing America's own resources to break our dependence on China. Gold, silver, antimony, strategic metals that fuel defense, industry, and your financial security. Now, for the first time in decades, America is drilling again. Remember, drill, baby, drill, mining and stockpiling for itself instead of begging foreign nations. And President Trump's strategy for the dollar: make it weaker by design, not as a sign of failure, but make it weaker as a weapon. A weaker dollar means cheaper exports, more competitiveness, and relief from America's crushing debt burden. So it means seniors can rest easier knowing that their Social Security is backed by growth and not by some globalist manipulation. Here's a real situation you just cannot ignore, guys. So while Trump is securing your retirement, the Soros family is accused of bankrolling chaos, protests, prosecutors, crime waves, all the looting that you're seeing, policies that destabilize everything that we rely on. I mean, you guys saw what happened in Minnesota today, right? Trump calls it treasonous. Soros calls it reform. So, who do you believe? On the one side, you got Donald J. Trump. He's locking in Social Security forever. He's exposing corruption at the Federal Reserve, and he's taking back control of America's money from the elites. Now, on the other side, George Soros and his son Alex funding protests, funding prosecutors, and fueling the chaos that threatens your savings, your safety, and your freedom. And so the question that you have to answer is this: is George Soros funding reform? Or is he funding America's destruction? Because history has already been made. Social Security is secure. The Fed is being dismantled. The Soros machine is now under fire. And now America's future comes down to which side wins the fight. So if you found this video eye-opening, please do not stop here, because YouTube believes you're going to love the next video that just popped up on your screen. And trust me, it dives even deeper into the same fight we just uncovered. Click that video right now and keep watching, because this story is only just beginning. Like, subscribe, share this video, and I'll see you over there.